They had everything: power, prestige, and fortunes that seemed absolutely untouchable. But within a few short generations, it was gone. The great dynasties of old money, the Vanderbilts, the Astors, the Rockefellers once ruled empires built on oil, railroads, and sheer influence. Their names were synonymous with wealth itself. Yet today, many of those vast fortunes have vanished into thin air. How does wealth that took decades of relentless effort to build disappear so fast? And more importantly, what can modern millionaires learn from their spectacular downfall? This is the story of how luxury became complacency and how a once-proud legacy turned into a powerful lesson for us all. Old money began with a spark of vision. In the 1800s, America's first titans of industry often rose from humble beginnings. Men like Cornelius Vanderbilt, J.P. Morgan, and John D. Rockefeller didn't inherit their wealth. They forged it with their own hands and minds. They built the very foundations of modern capitalism through relentless ambition, cutthroat strategy, and groundbreaking innovation. Their families became symbols of power, not because of what they owned, but because of what they built. They weren't just rich. They were creators, architects of the modern world. For them, wealth was a byproduct of creation, not a license for consumption. They understood the power of discipline, the virtue of patience, and the immense returns of delayed gratification. It was this builder's mindset, this unyielding hunger, that made them unstoppable. They weren't just accumulating money, okay? They were building systems, industries, and legacies that were meant to last for centuries. But as we'll see, building an empire and sustaining one are two very different games. By the early 1900s, the children and grandchildren of these empire builders inherited unimaginable fortunes. They lived in mansions bigger than palaces, threw parties that lasted for days on end, and traveled the globe in private trains and lavish yachts. It was the Gilded Age, the golden era of elegance, but also of staggering excess. They were the original celebrities, their lives a constant performance of opulence and high society. But while they were busy curating their image and preserving their social standing, they forgot the single most important principle that created their power in the first place. Hunger, the drive, the ambition, the relentless desire to build and improve it, all began to fade. Generational comfort slowly and silently replaced generational discipline. And history has a very strict rule. The moment luxury replaces purpose, the decline begins. It's a slow erosion, almost invisible at first, but it is as certain as gravity. The seeds of their own destruction were being sown in the very lap of luxury. By the mid-20th century, many of these great dynasties had started to crumble. Of course, external factors played a role. Taxes rose, particularly inheritance taxes designed to break up large fortunes. Inheritances were split among more and more descendants with each passing generation, diluting the original wealth. But the real reason for their fall wasn't economic. It was psychological. The third generation, which embodies the old proverb "from shirt sleeves to shirt sleeves in 3 generations," had completely lost the builder's mindset. They didn't see themselves as stewards of an empire to be grown, but as beneficiaries of a fortune to be spent. They consumed it, They maintained it, at best, but they never grew it. Without innovation, without risk-taking, without a driving purpose beyond maintaining a lifestyle, the money inevitably ran out. What once symbolized immense power and influence became a museum piece, a hollowed-out mansion, a warning for anyone who chases status instead of sustainability. The lesson is crystal clear. Wealth without wisdom is just a countdown to zero. So, what does this mean for today's millionaires and billionaires? The world has changed, but human nature hasn't. Today's newly wealthy face the exact same choice their predecessors did a century ago. Do you want to look rich, or do you want to stay rich? The two are often mutually exclusive. The wealthy who last, the ones we can call the new strategic rich, understand this distinction. They build with systems, with ownership, and with long-term, multi-generational thinking. They diversify their assets, not just across stocks and bonds, but across businesses and industries. They reinvest their profits relentlessly, understanding that capital must always be working. They treat money like energy, something to be circulated and directed to create more, not something to be hoarded in a vault or displayed on a wrist. They've learned from old money's greatest and most fatal mistake, thinking the game was over once they won. The truth is, wealth is not a destination. It's a dynamic process. The moment you stop innovating, the moment you stop learning, the moment you get comfortable, your wealth starts dying. It might be a slow death, but it's a certain one. The game is never over. This brings us to the most crucial point, the difference between luxury and legacy. Real, enduring wealth isn't about what you inherit in a will. It's about the inheritance of a mindset. It's about passing down the principles, the discipline, and the vision that created the fortune in the first place. Instead of just leaving your children a trust fund, teach them how to think about money, how to create value, how to solve problems. Build assets that educate, not just impress. A library of knowledge is infinitely more valuable than a garage full of supercars. Luxury fades, supercars become obsolete, mansions crumble, but a strong and productive mindset is a gift that lasts forever. The families that have managed to hold on to significant wealth for centuries, like the Rothschilds, for example, understood this one fundamental truth: discipline always outlasts decadence. They created systems, not just for managing money, but for cultivating talent and wisdom within the family. Because true legacy is not what you leave for your children, it's what you leave in them. That is the only inheritance that is truly secure. In the end, old money wasn't lost because it ran out of cash. It was lost because it ran out of clarity. It lost its purpose. It's the very same principles that built those empires 100 years ago still apply with equal force today. Work with purpose. Own, don't rent. Invest, don't impress. And never ever stop learning and building. Wealth doesn't die. Okay, people just stop earning it in every sense of the word. Welcome to LUXOVIBE, where we study the past to master the present. Because true wealth isn't about what you spend, it's about what you sustain. If you found this valuable, make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss our next deep dive. Thanks for watching.